Oh, hello. Hey, Dash. Hey, Clyde. Good to see you. Hey, Milton. Alright, I'm gonna give people a little bit of a chance before I start. You can follow yourself? I have no idea. I have no idea how that works. I'm not sure why you're asking that. But I'm gonna give everyone a chance to file in. I know this is gonna be a pretty big stream. Yes, hello, children. Nice, Milton. Very nice, man. Yeah, so I'll give people a chance to file in for this one since we're dealing with, you know, an art tutorial stream. But again, for those of you who will see this now or later, the VOD will be up on YouTube. And obviously Twitch keeps it for at least a good week or so. Maybe 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure how that works. But yeah, yep, today's the art tutorial one. So I'm gonna be going through all the things on the list. The list is not excessively long, but there are specific questions or specific things that don't quite have one clear-cut answer. So I may spend a little more time on some than others, and there will also be a little bit more ones that that require some actual mechanical or visual demonstrations. So there's a few different things there to get into. So I'm gonna run through a few different things. Depending on how this goes, there could be more streams like this in the future, but it also depends on you know, how people feel about this one. So either way, make sure you're subscribed to Shadefalcon VODs if you aren't, because that way you can actually see this VOD afterwards once it actually disappears from Twitch. Hi there, Hot. Good to see you. Ow. I'm in the middle of the store and I see a notification saying something about how you're doing art and I thought it said you were live. That's funny. Well, I mean, I'm live now. You were in a store? Where were you? Going out to pick up some food or some shit? Or on your way home from work? Yeah, I'll play, figure out what music I'm casually gonna use your stream as background noise to finish coloring art. Hey, that works out nicely. Walmart, got you, Milton. Got you, homie. Oh, yeah, Walmart makes sense. That is the pretty much the go-to for most people for things. But yeah, there's a few things on the list here that will be fairly simple to show, but the explanation will be quite a bit much. Getting stuff to make cheeseburgers? Oh, nice. I do love burgers. Alright. So. I'm trying to wait and see how long it'll take for people, because I'll give people at least like a good, you know, 5 more minutes tops before I actually get started. But I hope everyone's day has been going well. Let me see what music I actually play. What, burger? What? Did I miss something? What, was it the way I said burger? Oh, okay. Alright, let me find my soundtrack. Excuse me, I am tired. Where is my fucking... There it is. Alright. I'll grab that set up ready. Okay. Do I do art on my computer? Oh no, I do everything digital, bro. That's another thing too. A lot of this stuff is gonna be explained vis-a-vis digital. Most of it is translatable traditionally, but there are some things that if I were to give advice on traditional, there's only so much I can give because I don't do traditional anymore. I did it for a little while when I was younger, but once I started learning with digital, like digital just made drawing so much easier for me, honestly. But let's shift on over. Ruben. How's it going, homie? Good to see you. All right, let's adjust a couple of things. Let's grab my pen and grab my tablet. Now we need to do proper window capture. It should be this one, right? Yep. Perfect. All right. Just my music volume, just a smidgen. Alright. I think that ought to do. Grab my drawing glove because things get hot and uncomfortable on the screen. You don't want your hands sticking. So I'll sleep on my couch, woke up now, it's 3 a.m. and the verb is live. Well, it's 9 p.m. for me. But nonetheless, pretty decent way to wake up, homie. Also good to see more people using the emotes. I actually need to consider commissioning another emote from my friend TC. She did all the animated emotes, otherwise known as the cartooner. Yep, there's some more little laughing. My favorite's got to be the Kentucky Fried Daddy and the what you call it, the fingering one. But the glitch is pretty good at this point. Flip the bird, yeah. You need my judgment. My judgment. That's an interesting way to put it. What are we drawing? Yes, a lot of things. So like I said, since we're going over the tutorial stuff that y'all asked for, I gotta grab my list. So I guess the first thing that we'll cover, like there's actually two things here. 2 points that we can actually cover that kind of go hand in hand with each other. Alright, so let's see. Since we're actually working with yeah, I guess since we're actually working with like easy ways to start DMs. Alright, let me see here. Oh shit. Hey Clyde, that's quite a step up from some stuff I've seen you do. Not half bad. Kind of a big boy too. But yeah, pretty good. You're high? Oh yeah, the faces and eyes stuff. Yep, I remember that. I should grab my sketchbook. I mean, if you feel the need to, you know, if people want to follow along, yeah, that's certainly fine. Alright, so then... But yeah, I think you did a pretty good job there, kiddo. So I guess the first things first is we should talk about is, I see that one person wanted me to do easy way, great easy ways to start. So I guess we'll start from there then. So like, if you're a beginner artist, it does entirely depend on what type of artist you want to be. So the first thing that I would actually ask is, if you're someone who is looking to start with characters or landscapes, I suppose you could count logos, but if you are looking for a good, easy way to get into drawing, most people would probably tell you that you should use basic shapes. Like, basic shapes is a really good foundational block for any type of drawing, because most of the things that you end up drawing are made up of simple shapes. Now, some people actually choose to like sit around and like do the simple stuff, right? So like you take like the people who go and like do the cubes as an example. But you want to make sure that if you're using this method, like, you can fill an entire page full of cubes, but if you don't get the dimensions and the shapes and the planes right, then you're automatically going to end up wasting your time with the foundational blocks. So it's like, yeah, it's both, it's literal in this sense, obviously, but this goes for a lot of things. A lot of what you'll end up using will be boxes, cubes. So, like, you know, you might actually use a box like this, more of a rectangles, for, like, you know, things like the body and shit. So there are a few different options for how you would actually choose to get started. Also, you'll see me use the liquefy tool a lot. I love it to death. No, I have not, Milton. Like I said, don't expect that anytime soon, bro. Hey, Omega, welcome up. So we can use, a lot of your shapes are going to be things like cubes, rectangles, spheres are going to be your friend. I like the liquefy tool for everything because I don't draw the straightest of stuff, and we'll get to that in a little bit, actually, because I know there was someone else who actually talked about how do we draw straight lines, you know, to keep things steady. So one option that I like to do, like, is your typical crosshair. This helps you map out the planes of the face or the eyes and stuff. But you're going to use circles for a lot of different things. Like, the face is just one example. So, like, you might, you know, do, like, a very basic rudimentary head. That's an example right there. You might actually even make the chin a little shorter. I have a tendency to accidentally make my stuff too big or too long, and then I have to adjust. But especially in the case of, like, anime art styles even, you'll find that a lot of your heads are going to end up being not much bigger than the initial circle that you drew. But for anime art style, it's a little more simplistic because most of the face is the eyes and the hair. The nose and the mouth aren't really much. Obviously, expression matters, but... And nose style can vary depending on anime style, but regardless, we're getting a little bit ahead. So as far as getting started, you're going to use a lot of these shapes. You're going to use like tubes or like cylinders. And you would like have a lot of things connected via like ball joints. So like you got like a shoulder maybe like for the circle. Because I know we're going to cover arms after, so I'm not going to like get too in-depth on some of those things, but I just want to cover like basic ways to get started. So a lot of what you're going to be doing is your building blocks. So you want to use your circles, your spheres, you want to use your squares, your cubes, your rectangles, your cylinders, your balls, all of that stuff is going to be your basic foundation. And a lot of that is what you need to actually get started. Most people typically like doing character art. I'm personally very big on character art. Yes, balls. Lots of balls. But for character art, that's where things like knowledge, like anatomy and stuff comes in. So honestly, if you are just getting started, I'm going to assume first things first that you're not looking to get in. I don't even know who that is, Milton. But, so I'll say if you're looking to, like, get into, you know, starting art, I'm going to assume it's character art. Okay, oh, okay, gotcha, Spark. Because I know not many, people really want to get into backgrounds right away. I myself don't like backgrounds. Most typical, oh, hell no, Milton. Yeah, most people have a difficulty with backgrounds or landscapes. It's something that does get a little easier over time once you begin to realize that the character is basically just something living in that space. But I'm not going to say that that's an easy thing to start with. So if you are looking for backgrounds, a lot of these foundations are the same thing, but you're going to be working much
then
more...
Then sets a spark cause kicks down door. I'm an ambush.
Good. Is it really an ambush if I'm expecting it, Spark? Because I don't like JJK, Milton. You know this. I hate that anime. But aside from the structural, you know, stuff of getting started there, another good way to really get started, and I thought that this would be an easy and obvious piece of advice, but jokes aside, I'm going to call out a friend of mine without naming him. I was talking to a homie of mine last night, and he really did not know a very basic tool and function of an art program. Like, I'm talking something what would be considered like a clipping mask. 10 times, let's go, Spark. And by clipping mask, I mean, like, you know, say, like, you draw something on one layer, and then you can literally clip and attach a layer above it, so that you can actually, like, keep things in the confines of that layer below it. So, i.e., you know, you draw a circle, you make that circle blue, and then you want to, like, shade part of that circle, you know, a darker blue. You know, by doing the clipping mask, it keeps in the confines. So, some of what I'm going to suggest right now for helping you get started may be some shit that has definitely been said before, and it might be even stuff that you know, but I'm a self-taught artist, but I want it to be clear because I don't want people to misunderstand what the phrase self-taught means. Self-taught does not mean that you taught yourself literally everything all on your own and that you figured out everything all by yourself. No, what it means is that you didn't have a form of structured education, i.e., say, school or college, and you maybe didn't have a direct personal teacher or mentor. But that doesn't exclude, you know, referencing other people's art and trying to copy it and understand what they're doing. It doesn't exclude using videos like YouTube or even paying for a quick Skillshare course or something online. You know, maybe joining Discord servers and talking to other artists and asking them simple questions. All of that still is under the umbrella of self-taught, because it's little pieces of knowledge and information you are gaining along the way to build yourself up, grow your knowledge, and make yourself a better artist. So, legitimately, if you're not someone who's checking YouTube videos, you gotta be like there's a shit ton of really good, you know, YouTubers out there who make amazing tutorial content. I would suggest a plethora of them because I use a lot of them myself. There's people like Line Sensei. There's people like Draw Like a Sir. There's damn it, what was the other guy's name? I'm trying to remember the other guy's name because I mentioned him last night. There's Mark Burnett is a good example. Like look at these people. Oh, Art Senpai, I think that was his name. Yeah, I think that was his name. But like like there's tons of these people that like fully dedicate their channel to just the basics, the foundation, the building blocks. If you're not looking at those things to get yourself started, you're automatically doing yourself a disservice. Like, think of it like you're educating yourself, you know? The material is there. Like, once upon a time, we used mostly books. Lines, yeah, Draw Like Sir. David Lynch was another one. Yeah, I know that Sai recommended. Like, there's a lot of things out there that you can use to arm yourself with the information needed. Just search for it. You know, that's something I will definitely encourage no matter what. As well as, like I said, talk to other artists. I mean, people are asking me, obviously, right now, so I'm giving my advice on that too. But, like, this is another good, easy way to get started. And then, I think another really important one, just draw. Like, genuinely, just fucking draw. Like, I don't care how bad it looks. I don't care if you feel like shit doing it. I don't care if you think it's terrible or you think other artists are better. Yes, there's always someone better, but there's always someone worse. And at the end of the day, a finished product is better than a perfect one. Because all the time you spend obsessing over one and worrying about one, the more you waste time actually learning and improving and creating and actually getting better. So that's something that you really have to keep in mind. Yeah, I see the DM there, Milton. Yeah, still don't care for him. I know the character design, just didn't know the name to fit him. It's like learning to cook, make music, 3D models, anything. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, hell, actually, that's another good way to just get started. Thank you for bringing that up, Omega. This one's contentious. But, hey, Alex, how's it going, brother? So good to see you, my man. But, another really good way to get started is 3D models. Now, now the jury is out on this, and depending on who you speak to, some people take issue with it, some people don't, but programs like Clip Studio Paint here literally have 3D models built into it. In fact, give me a minute and I'll show you. So like here we've got like an asset, right? Let me drag this out. Can I not drag you out? Trying to drag you out, buddy. Okay, I know you're here. Why are you telling me no to all of them? Do I have to pick a different one? Okay, I don't know why the hands are being a bitch. But that being said, I'm just gonna drag this one out. Oh, that's why. The other one's on the cloud. But you know what? We'll just drag out ahead. Let's just drag out ahead real quick. So, as you can see, right? Milton, that's not how this works. Being an audio guide for Scar, her first time playing Elden Ring. Oh, beautiful! I feel that. It helps to have those guides. Trust me. Most definitely helps to have those guides. I know I need them a lot. So, 3D models is another really good way to actually get started drawing. Because some people will complain, oh, you're tracing it, you know, you're not really learning. Hands are a bitch if you know. Well, yeah, I know, and hand tutorial is going to be another one we're covering as well, Clyde. That's gonna be a big one that we cover today. So, because quite a few, at least 2 different people, I think 2 or 3 different people asked about hands. So, for 3D models, you can do a lot with these. Now, most people, well, not most people, again, a lot of people will complain that, like, you're just tracing, you don't really know what you're doing, you know, by learning from it, but 3D models only get you so far. Like, you can still use a 3D model, adjust it, get the right form, learn the angles of the body, learn the shapes, and the more you do it, the more you are likely to improve and retain the knowledge. Yeah, you can trace the body, and even if you do trace the face, it's only going to come so perfect, because even if there are some anime models out there and different things, you still have to do different eyes and different shapes. Like, you can't really cheat and cut corners with a 3D model. It can just save you a little bit of time and help you learn a bit more. And it's obviously a bit better to use them when you're more of a seasoned artist. But you can always use them to help get you going and get the basic body composure and structure down. I myself like to have a lot of references because I know the basic forms and shapes of the body to actually make something work the way I want. But legitimately, you know, I really like, you know, sketching primarily from visual reference. Hell, I even use AI references at times. And if the AI makes a mistake, as long as you know what you're doing, you can correct it. But I don't recommend that to people unless they really know what they're doing and they know how to draw. AI references are only good if you know the mistakes that the AI made. Every great artist always starts by tracing before drawing on their own style. Yeah, exactly. And tracing other people's work actually is okay too as a practice measure, as long as, you know, you don't take credit for it if you post it. And if you're not posting, it doesn't matter. There are times I have traced a reference and then used my tracing as my reference because I could better break down the shapes of the body. And a good example of that, actually, you know what? Let me actually grab you guys, because you know what? First things first. Let me actually, like, reduce this. So let's take a look here. Let's hide this layer. So, like, you've got the shape of the head. Now, if I use a 3D model, I personally prefer to just do this. But legitimately, if you're doing an anime art style, you know, you may want to, like, adjust it a bit more for the actual shape of the head. And now, see from there, right? We hide that. You've got the basic shape. This wouldn't work too well for an anime art style overall because anime heads are actually a little bit smaller at times. So you would actually end up having to adjust things a bit and, like, account for the curves. And this is obviously where I would suggest actually, you know, referencing an anime art style that you like. Pick a manga you like, pick an anime you like. But yeah, so you see right there, that saved a lot of time just for the shape of the head. You could still use the ears as well, you know. That's not something that would be bad to use. But now for the eyes, like the mouth at best, like maybe you can like copy that a little, and you've got a workable mouth there. You probably would want to raise that up a little bit though, because since we actually had to adjust the size of the head a bit, that should be up a little bit higher. Because the proportions of anime faces and bodies are not exactly the same as realistic proportions. So for the eyes, you kind of do something like that. I will go more into depth. We will draw a better face after, because faces, eyes, and hair was one that we had to recommend. That was another suggestion, so that will be focused on more in depth further into this stream. But for now, I'm just giving you some basic building blocks of what you can do to get started. Now, like, look. Now, right there, boom. You now have a workable face. And for the nose, like, let's just, you know... Boom. There's an anime head. Now, you might even reduce the size of the skull a little bit, because the skull might be a little bit too large, because when it comes to anime heads, the hair is actually going to be a lot larger. It's going to take up more of the face, but typically when it comes to anime faces, the eyes are aligned up about halfway to the head. Most faces, too, typically the earlobes line up somewhere about like with the point of the nose. Now, so something like this, you might actually want to adjust a little bit. So you might want to like just like lower the nose a little bit more, like the tip of the nose. Maybe adjust the ears just a smidgen in some places. Because the ears typically, the top of the ears typically line up at the top of the eyes, like where like the eyelid would go. Maybe even the eyebrow. You know, a lot of it can vary, and it also depends on the maturity of the character. You know, like, so like, are they a younger character, are they an older character? Canvas to use references to trace, practice, whatever you're struggling with. No, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that too. Yeah, like you could literally take a day and just practice tracing, because it will help you understand the form and the shape and the lines and all of that. It'll really help you to properly get that down. So, yeah. So I think as far as like getting started goes, those are like some really basic tools that I think I can suggest. But like I said, you know, just draw, use your shapes. Now, as far as like drawing anatomy step by step, like I had someone else ask about that. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to like draw you a really basic body, just so you all can get a basic idea of how like anatomical shapes would work. So let's do a quick sketch and let's actually get like a basic body down. Because the thing is that aside from anatomy, what matters even more than anatomy is something that I struggled with for years, was proportions. Proportions will be the death of you. So I'm gonna say this, right? What I typically like to start with is the upper torso. So if we're drawing the body, I like to go like this. Like, you can just use like a circle or like an oval of sorts. I'm teaching how to draw, huh? It's not a matter of just drawing. I'm teaching how to... God, people don't read. So, basically, you're dealing with the shapes. You're gonna go like this. You could start... I like to start typically with the upper torso. Since we're starting with the upper torso, you know, I'm gonna curve this a little because I made the circle a little bit too big. So, as we angle this, this is gonna be like the rib cage. I often have a tendency to make things a little too big at times, but I'm gonna curve it like that. And now we've got an actual rib cage. So the reason for this is because obviously the ribs separate, and where the location of your ribs are will really determine a lot of the other shapes of the body. So that being said, got the ribs. Now, another thing I like to do, I kind of go all around, but like this is just basically for spelling out the shapes for the guy who wanted the actual basic process. So for the shoulders, you're gonna go kind of like an oval, like just like these little ovals. Now we can connect these lines here, because what this is going to connect up into would be the neck. Now for the neck, you can use like a little cylinder shape. Because it's kind of going to curve in. This is typically where the collarbone would end up going. So we're going to extend that out. And when it comes to your sketches, do not worry how messy this looks. Trust the process. It's going to look like shit when you're first sketching, but you're just trying to get a form down. You're not trying to make it look perfect. You're not trying to make it a beautiful finished art piece. Focus on the actual sketching process. That's what matters more than anything. The more you get stuck in your head, the less you actually will get the piece finished and down. Because if anything, too, by the time you're done sketching, you're going to have sketched the same sketch at least 2 or 3 times to refine it. So, going to get that there. Now, I like to do an extra layer on top for my head, just so I have the extra space. And again, a lot of this is transferable, you know, via traditional. So if you are a traditional artist, keep that in mind. I'm probably going to go for a bit more of a masculine body here. So let me just adjust the head first. Okay, we'll put that there. I don't know how masculine this will be, but it's still thin either way. I'm not trying like to be too fucking perfect with it either. So I think we want to make the shoulder span just a little bit wider, actually, if it's a guy, because with men you're gonna want a wider shoulder span than women. But now we'll go down here, and here's the thing about the body. The body is gonna be kind of like a tube. This is gonna sound kind of dumb, but from the ass to the upper part of the chest, it's almost like a bean. Some people jokingly call it a penis because of the way it curves and the way it bends. But that's not completely wrong. Now for me, what I like to do next is now we want to actually separate the abdomen area and the hips. So you're going to have a little bit of this circle-like shape coming down here. I like to carve it out a little. Just going to adjust that a little bit on the waistline. The shoulder here might be a little bit much. But yeah, as you can see, we're dealing with a lot of ovals, oblong shapes, circles, spheres. You can make the entire body out of nothing but ovals and circles, if I'm really honest. You could make it work that way. So, now, but this is the part where I say I like to carve out the actual crotch area. So as we carve out the crotch, just want to shape that a little bit. Think of it almost like superhero tights when you're drawing the crotch area. And again, I like my liquefy tool. I like to be able to like mish and mush things around. You know, I like to treat drawing like I'm sculpting. I find that to be a lot easier personally. Which is another reason I prefer digital over traditional, because there's just certain things you can't do in traditional. Like an undo button. Which is why if you're doing this traditionally, I do recommend sketching very lightly. The lighter you sketch, the better off you will be. Because then when you make a mistake, you'll be okay. So we got the crotch. And now we connect the little joint parts of the legs. Like this. Again, you got these little ovals going on. So, let's move that up. Now, I personally hate drawing legs. But we're going to do it anyway. So, now, I'm going to do this. And again, for the legs, you can just literally attach them like this. You can just treat it kind of like an oval. And as you do that, you establish the basic shape. Now we'll probably have to adjust for proportions because there's certain parts of this that are a little bit too thick or wonky, at least for my taste. But we're just trying to get the basic principles down here. We're not looking to do anything too fancy. So, I like to do circles for the kneecaps. And now, if we're connecting down the rest of the leg, like the calves, You could start out like this and just do another like oval type shape. But calves have a little bit more of a bump out. So, do something like that. You could even do something like this if you want to simplify it further. And now, if we want to just do the feet, we can just kind of like make a little bit of like a triangular like shape. Because at the edge is where you're going to have the toes. And where the toes are is where the foot's going to matter. Have a little bit of that heel going on. Maybe a bit of an ankle. And you can do the same thing over here. And now again, this is all very rough. This is very basic. We just want the basic shapes. Because legitimately, this man's legs are fucking way too long. Because typically the head and the head to the crotch, like from here, like right here to here, from these spots, this length, all that right there, this should be directly proportionate to this here. So like, if I were to like say go on another layer, just do measure for this. Let's just make this red for better clarity. Oop. So now, if I were to take this line and I were to move this down, and we'll line it up with the crotch, automatically we can see...
Shadefalcon, cause I'm going to chip in real quick. This primarily is the predominant way to sketch up a thing figure. If you want figures that are like Dad Bod or even the MILFs, start with the body first, Annie, who continue on.
No, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I personally prefer to start with the body first anyway. Yeah, because like overall, I think that starting with like other parts only work if you're dealing with specific perspective. Why did it censor that? Oh, what, MILFs? I don't know if it censored it per se, or if it literally just had a hard time pronouncing it. But yeah, so like, all good there, Milton. See you soon. So, basically, what we're looking at here is, I personally think that the calves should be made a little shorter. Now I like adjusting it like this. Now if you're not drawing digitally, making some adjustments of this could be a little bit taxing. But that's a big reason why I prefer Liquify. And I'm doing like a couple little extra adjustments. Because like I said, this is super rough sketching. And the arms are not much different. Now, probably had a hard time saying Mills, maybe Traxius. Gotta get used to the fact that I'm not calling you Neja anymore. But, yeah, so, looking at that, we got the anatomy there, right? So, let's actually try doing the arms now. Because the arms are something...
Ryan_Melton914 cause Burno, I'ma go do something.
Yeah, I got you, man. Went back to my initial stage there and got you, homie. Alright, so... At this point now... Let's talk about this. For arms, honestly, the best advice I can give is, first things first, is it would really help if you position the hands. Now the hands typically, if you count like the fingers, they kind of like would line up about midway to the thigh. So we use these little cubes to shape it. And two, mind you, I'm not using any references at the moment, you know, but I highly encourage you to reference while you're drawing. Because even the most seasoned artist who knows what they're doing should look at some references from time to time. Because there's only so much you're going to remember on your own. Because like right now, I can tell you right now, looking at my legs, I do not like these legs at all. But then that's where I would actually like to make my references. I've got folders full of them. So I would highly encourage that as well. But the important thing is to, when you're drawing the body, just break it down into shapes. Just break it down into those simple shapes, and everything will be a lot fucking easier for you. So now, if we draw these arms, right? Actually, same layer? Okay, good. Alright, so for the hands, typically, the best way to draw a hand, I'm gonna tell you right now, is you can line this up via a triangle. Worship the triangle, praise the triangle. So yeah, you can line it up like that, and that's how you're actually gonna get your elbow started. Because contrary to what a lot of people think, our arms do not go perfectly straight. Because of the elbow, it kind of has a little bit of this arc going on to it. Like if you let your arm hang down next to you, you will see that like the shoulder down to more the bicep area, and mind you, I don't know perfect anatomical names or muscle groups, so bear with me. And you don't need to know them either for actually drawing well. So from like your shoulder down to like your bicep area, and then like where your elbow would begin, or like I guess your elbow pit if you're looking at the open side of your forearm, like that part is to upper arm is technically longer than your forearm. So no matter what, your forearm should be shorter than the upper arm. But like you want to draw like in a little bit more of that arched position, because your arm does not perfectly stay straight unless you actually like go to bend it. You know, it's not a straight position that our arms take unless the elbow actually moves. So what you're going to be doing now is you've got the circle, the ballpoint, you've got the little squares for the hands. Add another circle by the elbow. If anything, make the circle even a little bit bigger. And now just connect these tubes. Now you've connected these tubes. And now, can puff that out a little bit. Boom. You have a little bit of definition now for the arms. Now, for the actual arms itself, you really just need to bump out the bicep a little bit more. Bump out the bicep, bump out, I think this is the tricep, I think the back part of the arm. But like, you're mostly just adding like little bits of extra definition on top of what you drew. That's really all you have to do. Like, you're not really like, you know, going out of your way to do too much more. Now, for the hand, honestly, I'm just going to add a little bit of a thumb, just so we have something to work with, something to look at. Alright, so I'm not going to go crazy with the hands right here, because since a lot of people wanted me to draw hands, I'm actually going to specifically do the hands separately, and honestly, even I'm probably going to do some referencing, but I will break down how you draw those hands. So, honestly, the same thing goes for the arm here. Now, like, you connect that down, doing our little circle. Make it however big you want. And then, like, we're going to puff out the arm there for the bicep. Maybe buff out this shoulder a little bit more. And we'll connect that down. Because, like, if you look at your arm, you will see from the forearm connecting to the elbow, there's this slight curve out. And if you're not a pencil stick, if you're not like a pencil stick like me, because I'm a fucking human twig, so it took a little bit of time for me to actually get the muscle groups down. But if you look at your arms, they all have those little bumps and those little curves. So there's that, like, that little bump out for where the bicep is, and it will show both on the sides of your arm, it'll show on the top of your arm where you're bending it, like if you're like showing off the guns, quote unquote. The forearm is a good example of that too. You know, where it does the exact same thing, it buffs out more at the top part of the forearm, and as it goes further down your arm towards the wrist, you know, you will see it thin out. So you're going to be working mostly like that. The body is made up of consistent, constant curves. So like bump out for the shoulder, curve in here. Actually, you know what? Let me do a different color. So bump out for the shoulder, curve in here, bump out for the back arm of the arm, curves in a little again, bump out again. Then it would curve out here again because like this part of the body would have to be curved in more on the forearm. And again, this is if we're adding more of those details. So like just treat the body like it's a constant up and down slope. So if something doesn't quite look right, especially with the arms, that's probably what you need to be looking at more. Is it properly creating the slopes in the right areas? And it also depends on the musculature of the character. Kind of like when Clyde mentioned, like, you know, if you're drawing like a MILF or a DILF or different things like that, you know, different body types really do matter into this as well. But these, again, are the structural foundations of the body. This would be something that's very important for the arm. And, like, if I were to, like, you know, like, draw the arm, like, let's draw the arm from another angle. Draw this. That's a really wonky hand, but bear with me. Like, at the end of the day, like, curves are really everything you need to properly draw the hand right. Like, even the way the fingers go. See, like, you got the thumb. Got that curve there, curve back. You'd have like a fingernail here, curves up, curve that way, curve in, or rather curve out, curve in. All of that really adds up a lot towards the actual shape. I recognize I'm focusing on the hand a little bit, but like for the arm, it's the same deal. Because, like, this is just, like, the forearm right now, right? Let's adjust that. Yep, and now we got the other arm here, the upper arm. Just shape the shoulder. Just shape the bicep a little, well, the forearm a little bit more, I should say. Now, like you can see, right, here's the hand, and here's the forearm. Much smaller, much thinner. Awesome, Bella. Glad you're on your way home. So, like, as you can see, like, you're dealing with, like, the forearm there. See how small that is? Like, look at your own arm if you're observing this. Chop off your wrist. Like, you know, like, put your fingers, like, around your wrist for a second. To try and make a mental separation of your hand from the rest of your forearm. Or your, like you say, your lower arm, right? Just observe how small that actually is. Depending on how big you are, it probably only takes up, like, you know, the length of your thumb and index finger stretched out, plus a slightly less shorter length of that too. In all honesty, I'm not even sure how long my arm is, but either way, you're gonna notice like it seems like it's so much longer, but it's because the hand is part of that area. But the hand technically isn't in terms of the actual part of the arm, because obviously your hand is not your arm. So like that's a big factor. So now we've got the shoulder, right? Just get the shoulder looking good there. And now let's just adjust the bicep a little bit. Just gonna move that a little. And let's just, I think, yeah, we can go ahead and we can attach this here. I like to do a little bit of a V-like shape. Or you can even like just go like the full-blown cylindrical look and cut it off like this. But boom. There's your basic arm shape. Now, if I were to like flesh out the fingers a minute a little bit more. Do that a moment. And again, really rudimentary shit right now. If you're new here and you're seeing me draw, no, this is not how I normally draw. I'm just fucking giving examples. If you want to see the rest of the ways I draw, please check out my TikTok or Twitter or other sources for my actual finished pieces. Especially TikTok, we've been posting on there a lot lately. We probably will end up doing a full-blown face after, because in order to explain the face and the hair and everything, we will have to actually draw a full-blown face. The face is a little bit easier for me, because right now I'm kind of like just drawing parts of the body like a little somewhat aimlessly. Some of these fingies don't look too right. Some of these fingers should actually be overlapping each other a little bit more. And honestly, these fingers should be a little bit lower underneath. Alright. Good enough for a quick mock-up. So, I do hope that all that helps to explain between the general body here and the basic arm shapes and stuff on how to actually make the arms look a little bit better. I know that you were looking for how to like not make them look like tubes. But the important thing is just to... Oh, good hot. The important thing is to just make sure that the joints are all properly connected. Like, make sure that you've got the shapes here. Make sure that, like, you know, you're actually drawing the basic building blocks from the body as we see here. And we're actually, you know, getting a bit more of, like, the cylinders. Cylinders with little bumps and tumors in between. Yee. Alright, what do we have next? Alright, so we covered good ways to start. We covered basic shapes. We covered the arms. Okay, so let's see. Alright. So, all right. Cross that one off. So at the moment, actually, faces, hair, and hands. That one we'll probably save for last because that one's going to be the longest. Ow! Yes, I heard you. Alright, so we'll cross this one off. You know what? The next two that we'll cover will kind of be things related to hands. So, the first one that I'm going to go for is probably going to be like I know one guy asks, how do I actually steady my hands while drawing? Because this is a fairly easy one to actually cover. So, if you are someone who has shaky hands, there are a few different things you can do to actually help your legitimate hands, because this is an issue regarding how to stabilize your hand, your arm, your wrist, all that stuff. So, let's cover this real quick. The first thing that you're actually going to want to do is practice different little techniques. So, first things first, I actually use a new canvas for this one. So, it's going to sound stupid, dumb, repetitive, but this shit has helped a lot of people. Hey, Vulture, I'm doing alright. Just giving some art tutorials out today. Hope you're doing well. So, the first things first I'm going to say is, let's go with, lines. Drawing straight lines like this as fast as you can and as smoothly as you can. Trying not to overlap them. That's going to help a lot. Now, a lot of people will tell you to draw with your whole arm. I'm glad you're doing well, Vulture. But, legitimately, I will admit, fully, I draw with my wrist a lot. It's not that I don't use my whole arm for certain things, maybe bigger curves or broader strokes. I definitely do. But if you draw typically with your wrist, that's okay too. You can still do a big sweeping motion with your wrist. But yeah, try to do straight lines like this to help improve the muscles of your hands. Now, outside of that, I also really recommend doing circles. But doing a circle as steady as you can and as round as you can, and your lines can overlap like this. They will. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't try to do that and think, okay, yeah, I did it fine, I did it right. Start like this without taking your pen off. If you can manage to get a circle like that where it's almost neat, don't get it too perfect though, because if your circle is completely perfect without anything, it means you probably have a brain tumor. That's not a joke, that's actually true. But, no, legitimately, you just kind of want to do that. You want to practice circles and lines. Now, without that, let's say that you're still bad with that, right? Let's say you really can't draw straight lines and you get fucked up every time and you're so frustrated by it. Well, I got good news for you. Because digital art programs have a thing called vector layers. So, if I were to hide myself for a minute, where is my face? Give me 1 minute here, gang. There we go. So if I were to hide myself for a second, right over here, this layer is a vector layer, or this little thing right here. So let me put myself back. But yeah, vector layer, what this will do, and I recommend, this is primarily good for line art. So I will also talk about sketch layer. I'd recommend doing the best you can like I do, and then the liquefy tool. Because you can mix and mush and mash the lines around as you see fit. I like it a lot because it definitely helps me to adjust things. Well, vector layers allow you to do this too, but a little bit more cleanly. So if we go to a vector layer, let's say, you know, which layer has my arm on it? Okay, so this has my arm. So let's move the arm layer up here. Now I'm going to make the layer blue so I can better see what I'm doing. I'll lower the opacity a little bit. Now we go to vector layer, right? Now let's say I just take this clean pen, like this, right? It's just a normal G pen. Now let's say I want to clean this up. So I'll do that, right? Now look, I did that line, but uh-oh, the line didn't go smoothly. Now, most people are going to feel like, oh, I have to delete that line now. But instead, if you grab this little pointer button, and you go here now, oh, look, there's segment points now. Oh. So now we can actually click this, Control, and we can move and adjust the lines as we see fit. So if you're someone like me, or even if you're doing like cel-shaded art and you want it to look a little bit more clean, you can move this shit around. And you know what the best part is? You can do even more with this. So like, let's draw a little bit more. Let's like go down here, because I really believe the forearm came out a bit more. So now I did that line there. Now we connect this here. But my whole problem with this is, this line feels way too thick to me. I like thinner lines. So, if I want to do something, I can go to adjust line width. And now when I click on this, with Control, if I stretch up like this, oh no, hang on. There we go, yeah, I didn't even need to hit Control. So I could just click the line and stretch up like that. Now look, I can make that line as fat and thick, or as thin and thin as I want. And this will allow you to get more line weight in your drawings. So, because for your sketches, the liquefy tool can help you along. So, if you actually just do this, this can really help you with adjusting things a little bit better. And you know, you can actually just, you know, move the lines. Now, one thing I will keep in mind is I like to like be a little, not to go over my saved lines too much, but I'm being a little messy right now. So, let's say now you've got here, I crisscrossed these lines. Vector eraser will clean that up in just a second. And you can adjust the settings you want for that too. But like, look how smooth that came. And it didn't matter how clean or sturdy my line was. It looks like you did a good job. So, hang on, I need water. So, you don't need steady hands. I never had steady hands either. It got better over time. Don't get me wrong, my hands did get more steady. But you really don't need them. And if you don't need a steady hand, well, then you don't gotta worry about messing it up as long as you're using the tools that are at the disposal of the program. There's also applying things like shift commands and stuff. There's a lot of little things you can do to make your drawing life a lot easier. So, don't feel bad if you lack the physical dexterity. You can still create nice pieces as long as you know what tools are at your disposal in the program. So that's something I would recommend automatically to anybody who's having those issues. Alright. So now we've got how to do hands, hair, faces, and shading. To be honest, I can actually lump all of these together right in one. The hands, I'll probably do first. And then I'll go to like the face, hair, and the shading. Because that'll also cover the eyes and everything like that. So, let's go here. Let me grab a couple of quick references for myself. Because even I like to have references. I very much enjoy having my references. Let's see. For hand references, what's a good basic hand for us to draw? Because we just want, we want at least like one to give you, for example. But I want it to be a good hand gesture. I just want a simple hand pose. What works here? Now, I know most people actually find it easier to draw fists. But I think I'd rather not focus on fists because doing a fist doesn't show the full hand. And we want to actually like show off fingers. So let's see here. You know what? This actually looks like it'd be a pretty good hand to actually use. So we're going to go with this one. Alright. So let's go here.
Hot in Town 57 cause I found a movie to watch.
Nice. And also, Spark. My poor man. You being at hell, aren't you? Alright, so now we're going to go with hands. So we're gonna take a dedicated thing here. So, oh, steady, but some programs offer stabilizing setting for some brushes. It's contentious, and at some point, it's recommended to practice keeping your hands steady. But it feels no, yeah. You know what? I will actually. You know what? I will add that for stabilization. Actually, that's a good point, Omega. So as you can see right here on the far left side where my mouse is, this is stabilization. And depending on how far you slide the number will determine how much stabilization you have. Too much stabilization, I feel, takes away a little bit from the realism and the authenticity of your own hand. I like somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 60, depending on what I'm drawing. But, you know, if you want it smoother and you want it cleaner, then you can go the higher number. But I will suggest anywhere from 30 to 60. I personally prefer 30 most of the time. This is a pen I don't use very often, so it was set to 60. I tend to like more of a painterly brush at this point, but I use 30% for that typically in most occasions. Like if I go here, which pen was it? I think it was this one. No, wrong one. Yeah, I like this one. I like to go kind of light. And for this one, I believe I have it set to...
Spark Cosplays kicks the door down ads. Why is it always ads?
Lol. But like, yeah, like I have it like 35. So, got that there. Delete that. But yeah, now let's go back to the actual sketching pen, that stencil that I like to use. Show me TikToks doing someone's like Lego bags with spaghetti bags, and that made me upsetty spaghetti. Lol. Hilarious dash. So, for hands. The hand we're gonna curve. Well, now we're doing hands. Like I said, we've just been doing tutorials the whole time. This is what everyone asked for, and now a lot of people seem confused by it. But, so I'm doing hands right now. But, like, for hands, you want to do this. It's better to make a little bit of a square and kind of curve it. And now we're going to, like, do, like, the bottom of the hand here. This little wave. And now we're going to actually go ahead and attach the thumb. So let's go ahead and put this little oblong shape. And you want to treat... I went off the month for Gridsumi. This was just a week ago. I haven't pinged the server. But, no, so like then we're going to go like this. And then you want to attach these little tubes. Also, too, the title that no one seems to read. No one seems to read the title of the stream. So, yeah. Do this here. You want that little curve for the thumb. Now, I actually want that thumb actually curved out a little bit more because that doesn't look very natural. So we're going to redo that in a minute. But for the thumb, and there'll be that little curve for the hand where it actually connects. You just want to view it as being broken up into individual pieces. So like just segment these parts off. And that's one way you can treat it. I like to treat fingers and everything like individual little parts. But I don't do as many parts. Like Dragon Ball Z or like more Battle Shonen type anime might actually do like really little individual chunks. For fingers especially, I kind of prefer for them to be just like a smooth motion. Or maybe even like 2 connecting points. So like, for you got this smooth motion here. And you want to like curve in for the indentation there. We're going to curve that finger as well. But you also want to make sure that the fingers are like appropriate lengths. So, curving them gives them a little bit more natural feel. But you want to be careful how much you curve them, or it can look really unnatural really quick. Now, the index finger obviously here should be a little smaller, so we're going to reduce that a smidgen. Your middle finger is obviously the longest one. Alright, now that we've gotten that, now we're going to actually connect the other fingers, but I'm going to make a point of bending these. So you're going with the slopes back and forth. So we got a finger like that connected for the pinky. And now if you really wanted, you could just copy and paste that exact same finger over there. Also, another little fun tip, the reason I'm zoomed out so much when I'm drawing is because the more zoomed in you are when you're drawing, you're going to be focusing too much on the smaller details, and you don't want to do that. You want to focus on the overall bigger picture because most of the time people are going to be viewing your art at a distance rather than clicking on the image and zooming in. You may be doing that, no one else is going to do that. So when you do color and draw, make sure it's being viewed at an appropriate distance so that it actually maintains the same effect and quality. Now, like, I'll zoom in a little so you guys obviously can see more of what's going on, but like, as a rule of thumb, just don't do that. Now, you're curving the fingers here, and since these fingers are bent, you're obviously not going to show them all. Now, I made a little bit of an issue here with the pinky, so we're going to lower that down, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. Because obviously you want the pinky to be smaller and lower down. But here's the thing about hands. Now, even though like you've got like the finger here out, we can actually like adjust that a little bit more. The thing about hands is they should always be in an arc. So like, if we're looking at this, right? Let's erase the arc a minute. Also, his hand should probably be a smidgen smaller. And these are a lot of little important details that admittedly even I forget at times. when it comes to drawing, but it's all about memorizing little notes. So, now look at that. We have the hand. And let's, you know, do a little bit of a nail. I tend to like feminine hands or feminine things more, so. But yeah. Now that's your hand. And like you can go ahead and like, you know, add like the little cross if you want there. Like the little palm marks. Boom, boom. And boom, that's a hand. Do you benefit to do art without zooming in, since not only what Shade already said, but it will give the illusion something appears bigger or smaller than it actually is, keeping your canvas zoomed out way. It keeps, yep, agreed, Omega. So like that's a good way to do the hand, right? Now that's one type of hand, but now like let's examine another hand. Let's examine the open hand, the open palm hand for a minute. So let me grab that so I can like better explain the actual anatomy of a hand. Just grab something here. Because like most of the hands I have for references are actually like very specific gestures. Because a lot of what your piece will be determined by is how you gesture your hands. You could draw nothing but a character's head and face and just have the hands there like a bust shot, and it will have so much emotion and personality than if you didn't draw it. Alright, let's see. Okay, surely I must have an open palm hand somewhere that I could use for... Well, you know what? That might work for the... no, I don't think that'll show the arcing enough. I want a good example for showing an arc. Because I want to, like, use this to actually explain the anatomy of the hand a little bit more. I must have an open palm somewhere. I must have an easy open palm somewhere, or I'm actually... This is hilarious. If I actually don't have an open palm hand. Like just a flat open hand. Oh wait. Yep, found it. Alright, I got one. I got one. Alright, so now let's do here. Alright. So, we're going to do the open palm hand. This is going to explain the overall anatomy, like the arcing of the hand. Because hands have a very specific arc. It might not be as noticeable in this piece here, but I'm going to actually make it more visible in this next one. So, we'll start with the open hand. And you're going to want to draw the hand like this. All of it's an arc. And again, this is like without, like, you know, attaching to to like a wrist or something specifically. So let's go with the thumb once more. You can get a little curve there. You can do a little bit of the palm. And now let's connect this. So we got the thumb. I'm gonna erase that. I didn't mean to erase that much. Alright. And we'll connect that there. Now we've got this little mitt, right? This is probably where you've seen like a lot of cartoons, how characters actually like just draw this big mitt for the character. And this is usually because, well, people are afraid of fingers. Now, fingers, each piece is its own individual digit. It's really no different than how your leg bends. The thing is that you want to study how relaxed your hand looks. But if you don't have that right away, we're just going to get the basic grasp. So, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to draw little sticks. So that can be for the pinky. That can be for the ring finger. And that can be for the middle finger. Now, we can cheat a little bit if we want. And then we've got the index finger. Now, the index finger is obviously shorter than the middle finger, but it's a little bit bigger than your pinky. And obviously the middle and the index are about the same. So what we're going to do first, we'll start with the pinky, because we're looking at the pinky, right? Pinky is a pretty small little digit there. And you can just do like this little curved slope. If you want to break it down, you can like chop it into pieces like that and like do the section one at a time. Now, let's do the ring finger and the middle finger. And again, and now what some people do, if you really want to cheese this, so first we'll connect that because this is going to make it seem more cohesive. Some people, to cheese it, actually connect both of these fingers together. So if I slide this over for a minute, right? And you'll find this in a lot of your anime. A lot of times that they connect both fingers of these fingers together. Like there's no real clear separation between the two. And if there is, it's very subtle. So you can actually do that if you want to cut that corner. Now the same thing goes with this finger. Now we may have made this hand a little bit too thick. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, we definitely made this hand a little too thick. So we're actually going to squeeze this in a little bit more, because a hand should not be that fucking wide. And we're going to adjust that. And again, these are all things you can adjust as you go along. But yeah, now again, can curve the finger a little bit. And if you want, again, you can build it up via chunks. You can definitely build it up this way. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. Some people even want to break it down further. Maybe you want 3 segments. And if you did that, it might look a little something more like this. So like you could actually like build it up like that. And there you go. And that's kind of like the basic foundation for the hand. It really is just this simple little square that gets curved, or rectangle. And you're going to mostly curve it on those areas. Now, let's say you want to draw a hand at a different angle. Because like we've only done the front, right? Let's say you're struggling with the hand at a different position. So let's look at that real quick. Because like I like drawing the hands at many different angles. But you can apply all of these same principles exactly the same way. So let's... What's a good example? You know what? We can go with this one. This one seems like a good angle that we can actually draw. So, for this next one, we're going to take a slightly different approach. Because, like, the hand at the side is going to look something more like this. But let's say it's a little bit more angled. Because, like, obviously you can view the hand as, like, this thin little square or rectangle. No matter what way you look at it. But let's say we wanted to do something with a little bit more angle and maybe having the fingers be a little bit more invisible. So we're going to curve like this. And now we're looking at that narrowing in there, and we want to do the thumb. The thumb will always be on the inside. No matter what you do, just remember, and this is something that's going to be difficult for people because even I fuck up once in a while. No matter what way your thumb is positioned, unless you're looking, your hand is positioned, unless the back of your hand is showing front, your thumb is going to be pointing inwards towards you, towards your body. So it's always going to be pointing in like this. So let's say we wanted to like do this for the thumb. I'm going to angle that. And now we've got that part here. Now the actual side of the hand is going to crisscross with that of the actual palm. So to get the fingers going, you're going to want to actually do the same thing. So you can like do this little segment line. Now that could be like the pinky. I kind of like to get like my fingers done as I go along. Because as you're going along, you can always go over this and retrace it and refine it on a new layer. So let's go here. Do that. And now these fingers are obviously going to be a bit more hidden. Because we've got a hand that's kind of reaching up and grasping. Now I'm going to cut this hand off here, because there's not actually an arm there. And if you want, just extend the lines down a little bit so that we actually show the fingers. But you're dealing with overlapping fingers now. And since they're at an angle, you want to actually adjust the curves. So I think the fingers should be lowered a little bit more, personally. So we're going to bring that down a smidge. But honestly, that's another way that you can like draw the hand. Now you can like curve this soft squishy part of the hand a little bit, because you've always got that little like upper flabby part of the hand that's right below the fingers. And now you've got another position there. And again, don't worry how messy it looks, you know. And I like to add a fingernail or two. I think having fingernails, because I like drawing women. In case people don't know, in case that's not obvious. But like I like drawing women, which is ironic considering like I did a male body for the basic adjustment. But I feel like there's a lot of dudes who might have wanted to know that one as well. Also, did my music stop? Yes it did. That's right, because it wasn't on loop. Okay. But yeah, so I feel like that's pretty sufficient as far as basics for hands go. If you have any other questions or comments, please let me know either in the chat, or if you watch this video later, you know, comment down below on the VOD and, you know, let me know. Hell, join the Discord server and actually ask me questions there and, you know, come hang out. But that's basically everything I feel like I can provide for, you know, for basically the hand stuff. So I think we should go ahead and move on for the next part. So I hope that was fairly clear. If there are other questions you guys have, please don't hesitate to ask me. Or again, leave the comments on the video when this is done. So now what's left is faces, hair, and shading process. So honestly, what we're gonna do is we're going to actually draw an entire face. We're going to do a whole little bust or mugshot. And then after that, we'll actually color it, and we'll work from there. So, oh. What the hell? Okay, there we go. Got a little confused up in there with one of my other programs. So, I'm going to close out of this one now because we don't need that open anymore. We're going to put all of this in its own folder. Actually, we can delete the 3D model. No, you know what? No, we'll just cluster it all together. Because this tutorial document will get deleted once it's done anyway. I'm just going to label that stuffs. And hide that. Alright, now, since we're going to be working with the face and the hair, now I'm going to be clear. Whatever your style is, what I'm going to teach is still applicable, but I prefer the anime art style. And I'm also going to be drawing a girl for her head, for the hair and everything, because I think there's more to work with a female's hair. This still applies for a man's hair as well, but legitimately, a lot of guys have shorter haircuts, or if your character has a bit longer hair or some crazy hair, you can still work with this same process. But I'm going to be sticking to female hair for now. If people actually want some more detailed tutorials and stuff on that in time, that's something that we can talk about. That's something we can discuss on later streams. But I'm going to go ahead and stick to, well, what my preference is for this thing, because I feel regardless you can still apply these same things, because it comes down to breaking things down once again into little chunks and individual sequences. So first, let me actually go ahead and grab something that I can use. What's a good reference? Yeah, I'm just gonna grab. This is probably, it may look like a character by the time I'm done, but the whole point of this is to not care about whether I'm drawing a character or not, but to understand the premise of this. So let's get to that. Actually, do I want to do this one, or do I want to do a different head angle? I'm trying to decide a minute. Because I want to stick to something a little bit more simple. You know what? Actually, this one may work. Yeah, we'll work with this one. Alright, take it easy there, Vulture. You have a good evening, my friend. Be well. Alright. So, we're going to start with the head. As we said before. Just a circle. You're going to find that I'm going to do a lot more refining, though, with this than I did before, because we want to actually, like, spell out clear how to properly do this. And I'm going to explain why I'm lining everything up the way I do. Alright. Going to connect that line now. And now we're going to do the chin. Pop out the cheek a little bit. Come down here. Alright. We're definitely going to have to make the head larger. Alright. So, we've got that little curve now, because we want the little curve here by where the eye is going to be. Some stuff will get adjusted, of course, but this is going to be the basic principle in the shape, so. And the thing is that anime heads, while they are pretty big, the hair will take up way more. So, since we'll be talking about doing the whole face, you're going to curve the cheek, and just like the body, things will curve in and out. So you're going to curve a little bit down here. The line's going to be a little bit more subtle by the chin. We're going to curve that up there. Alright. Clean that up a little. And you may find that certain parts actually get completely erased or cleaned after, but now that's our basic head. So, I'm actually going to put this in its own folder. Sketch. You're gonna get, if you haven't seen this already, but you probably have if you've been on this channel before, you're going to see a little bit of my process some more. So we're going to make that the head. Now, given the angle, I'm going to still do the little cross line. I'm going to probably do it again. Because now the eyes are going to go more up here. And I'm going to do a little bit of this curved line due to the way the eyelids will be shaped, because I'm going to have her looking somewhat down. Also, another little fun tip when you're drawing, flip your canvas and check and make sure that everything looks even enough on both sides. It's not going to be perfect if you're drawing an angle, and it shouldn't look exactly symmetrical, but you'll notice if you drew something a little bit more curved to one side than the other. So just keep that in mind. We're going to add a neck. Yep, having the neck will help this out a little bit more. Alright, there we go. Now we actually got a pretty good working head and neck. Now let's actually talk about getting to the face. So what I want to do is, this is going to be the cross. So I'm going to like lock that. Okay, I'm going to lower that layer down a little. And I think I'm going to change this to a different color. When I draw, I like to have things made different colors because it's easier for me to figure out what the hell is going on. Because if things aren't like a different color, then I have no idea what I'm looking at. So, I'll say this. For the next part, what I like to start with for the face. Now, the face is obviously your eyes, your nose, your mouth. But I like to actually do the nose and mouth first. So, let's see here. If we're going to be doing that, since we're dealing with an anime face again, the nose isn't much. You honestly can just get away with this little dot if you want. But believe it or not, that dot does have a very specific purpose and a spot to be in. Because it does matter where the rest of the face goes. Because this line is going to be acting like the curve. Because your nose will curve into the eye. And I will explain that when we actually get there. Now for the mouth. The mouth is going to look a little funny maybe to some people. Because you're probably going to be thinking like, well, why isn't the mouth perfectly centered? But you don't want it centered when the head is going to be at a slight angle. Because if the head is angled, this is the part where observation really comes into real life. If you're looking at someone and their head is on an angle, it looks like the tip of their nose lines up closer with the edge of their mouth. Shade art? Yeah, thank you, Scar. Been going through a lot of the tutorials. Ironically enough, we will be getting to the one that you wanted me to do very soon with the shading. But we're on the last parts now of the actual art tutorial stream, which is basically the face, the hair, and then the coloring. We covered a lot of the other stuff before, but again, the VOD will be uploaded for everyone who wasn't here for the rest of the stuff if they wanted. So, we're actually nearly done covering everything that everybody wanted, but... Bah. Let me, dehydrated. So let's see now. So we got the mouth there. I was gonna say had been said, so I'll be sure to watch the VOD. No worries there, Scar. So, we've got the mouth and we got the nose. That's the basic for the face, right? But now we're gonna go for the eyes. Now, eyes is something that a lot of people I see tend to struggle with. There's a lot of ways you can do this. I personally I like to actually draw them individually and then adjust them from there. And since you're going to be drawing on somewhat of an angle, you know, you kind of want that. So first things first, let's get the eye here. And we're going to curve this one a little bit too. Now for your eyes, with anime faces, since the eyes are so big, make sure you leave a sizable gap in between the eyes. Most eyes typically need a third eye to fit in between them. This is just how a normal human anatomy works, proportions. So you want to have that third eye space be able to fit. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but leave a noticeable amount, because another thing that's helpful with anime, and we're going to get to this when we get to the hair, is the hair of the bangs should comfortably sit in between the space of the eyes, like the forward front hanging bangs. Unless you're purposefully going for something to cover part of the eye, but do not use that as an excuse to hide the lack of proportion knowledge. Trust me, I did it for years. No good. Alright. So, we got the curve of the eye going here. Now, what I typically do from here is you can like do a little bit of a curve of the lashes on the sides to help. And now what I go from there is I start to like curve the line down. Because most anime girls' eyes have that little bit of that black look for the outline for like where their lashes would be, or their mascara, or you know, whatever their fucking makeup is. And now we're going to connect that up in here. And since this is part of the eye, this is what I was talking about with the nose, this counts as a curve. So you see like that little line right there? Boom, boom. Anime is minimalist and it's simple, so you're not adding all those lines. It's all about the implied locations of things. But just because those lines are invisible, that doesn't mean that things shouldn't be in the correct spots. So, we're going to go with the eye. Now, I'd recommend doing this on both real quick, even though I'm not always good about taking my own advice. But now you can connect this line here, and we can start thickening this out, curving it together. Because we're going to go for kind of like a half-lidded shut look. So, now since the eyes are also a little bit closed, you want it to curve with the cheek. And considering she's going to be like more looking downward at the viewer, the eyelids should curve as such below. Now, this doesn't apply for everything, but you know, this is what the facial expression we're working with currently. Now, we can go ahead and we can actually, since these eyelids are closed just enough, we can go ahead and like have the actual eyes be like, you know, kind of like partially covered here. You know, the actual iris and pupil and stuff. We can actually have that be partially covered. And now, since she's looking down here, this eye should shift over to the corner a bit more. That should be a little bit further over. Because now, that's going to come down there. And if you want, you can, like, you know, connect this as such, so that it looks like it fits a little more seamlessly. And now we've got a little bit of that facial expression going on. Now, for the pupils, you can do these a variety of different ways. You can do like a big circle pupil like this. You can do like a little more of that oblong shape. It really depends on what you want. And you can even wait to do it purely with the color if you want. I like to have a little bit of something sitting there, but you can still choose to wait for the color. So, I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, do this. And have a little bit there. So we got that now. We want to curve this in a little bit more. And we can make this a little thicker. Actually fill it out. Fill out the outline. Alright. And now I want the eyelids, so... have that there. And now, most importantly, now we need the eyebrows. The eyebrows are pretty simple. They're kind of just like this little, you know, like little thin, almost angularly pointed shape. And it really depends on how you want to shape them for the expression. Study facial expressions for that, honestly. You really need to like have a decent grasp of that to understand how the eyes should go and how the face should actually present itself. Now, this is pretty alright. I honestly think we should make the chin up a little bit more. I feel like the face might be just a little bit more. And also, too, depending on how long or thin you make a face, it can also determine on how young the character might look. Like, just take a look at a noticeable difference. Like, if you watch anime, take a look at Your Forger from Spy Family. How much more rounded and oblong and pointed her face is in places compared to, say, like, high school anime girls. So, the age definitely is relevant to the shape of the face. I go for more that typical cuter look that you see in most animes, because I just find it more appealing. Even if the character is a grown-ass woman, I just like it better if the face looks like that. The body I always make look adult, but the head and the face I have a very particular look for, and I always want it to look a certain way. Because if it doesn't look cute enough or appealing enough to me, then I just don't like it. And then I think like it's not going to be as enjoyed by other people. Alright. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, that's right. Alright, now let's just adjust that a little bit more. Now you can thicken some of these lines up a little bit more if you want. Obviously that's more of an aesthetic choice than anything. Also, these lashes probably should be a little bit thicker. Now that's like the basic form, but now like you can go ahead and like add some lashes to it. Try to keep it symmetrical. So do a little bit on each side. Because last thing you want is for it to be too inconsistent like that. Alright. Probably could stand to straighten this out a little bit more. And curve that up a little bit. Alright, so that's some pretty basic shit. Now, we might want to curve these eyes just a little bit more. Like I said, I like my liquefy tool. Definitely one of my best friends. And we're gonna tilt this head just a smidgen. Just the mouth a little bit. This is the part where I'm being a little particular with some of the details. A little bit of a thicker brush. All right. Tip on veteran wrestlers along with wrestlers has really helped me out. I'm glad, Scar. I'm really happy for that. Without that, whew, I do my best. So like we've got this now. So at this point, I think we can start like doing the hair, just to get like the basic idea. So let's go ahead and actually sketch that up. So, hair. Now there's a couple of ways we can do hair. You can just outright sketch it without a problem. And you can start at like a focal point of the head and have all of the hair just like stretch outwardly from there. Kind of like that. That's one way you can do it. Another way I kind of prefer, I don't do this all the time, but I have grown to like it. I like to actually take a paintbrush and I like to actually like paint it out and then re-go over it. So do this like this. Now it's gonna look messy and chunky, but this is just one method of doing so. And for the head, the hair should always go a decent little size above it. You may have to adjust it after, but like the head is not, you know, the hair should not be too low to it. Or too close to the scalp with anime characters. Think of it like they're almost wearing a little bit of a hat or a comb. Now, we've got that there, right? Now I'm going to lower that down. And I'm going to do something a little bit different. So, that's the wrong color. I want it to be black. So, we're going to go from that focal point. And we can just do it like this if we want. And then we can come down from this focal point as well. Have that crisscross. And now as you can see, we're leaving just enough space in between the eyes that we can position this here. Because if there's not enough space to put it in between your eyes of your character, then you need to move something over. You need to like reposition and readjust the proportions. Now the hair can be broken down into these chunks. So you've got the initial chunk in the middle here. Treat it like actual parts of the anatomy. I have issues deciding the flow of the hair with the angles. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if you focus just on the chunks and the sections of it first, like this, then it'll become easier because everything will flow from that main center point of the crown of the head up here. Like, everything will come from up from this point. Like, right here. So, like, if you treat it like everything stems from that, it becomes a lot easier, as you can see. And you can kind of start going wild with how the hair flows and moves once you understand the actual point that it comes from. So, like, once we get that, and then it becomes a lot easier even just like you know, nicking references. Because if you understand how the hair starts, then you know how you can, like, kind of effectively copy some stuff. And now we've got that there, right? So we want to connect a little bit more down here. And I'll be real, anime girls look really weird without their hair. Like, until you get the hair on, they might kind of look like an alien. But that's okay, trust the process. Now the side hair will come down in this much bigger chunk. And treat the hair like it's flowing like ribbons. Like, ribbons is how this shit actually connects. So, like, in and out, in and out. And you can, like, adjust then from there how to, like, curve it. And don't be afraid if it's messy. You can pick and choose your lines after. I watched those videos, but none have really explained in a way I can understand. I'm actually able to follow you despite being half asleep. Yep, exactly. It's okay to be messy. Be as messy as you want. And I'm glad you're able to follow me. I'm glad that I'm actually able to help with that, honestly. Makes me feel good if I can actually, like, guide people. And again, also too, liquefy tool here for when you make mistakes or something doesn't feel right. But yeah, so now we got that there. Now, let's hide the actual mess layer there. And I don't know, let's delete that. Add a little bit of that shadow for the fold. And I don't know, let's add some horns. Not to play with and don't understand yet. For liquefy. Liquefy basically think of liquefy like pretend your sketch is clay and your liquefy tool is your hands that allow you to mix and mush and mash around the clay that is your sketch until it fits and shapes into a manner that you actually find appealing. Because there's multiple different settings for it, but the main one is push, and that's what I use, and that's what helps a lot. I also use expand and shrink at times. Now let's do that. Okay, now now we've got a rather messy finished sketch. Now you know what we do with this? We draw over it again. So like, and for the face and the eyes should always line up around this curve here. Always like go right around here, and this curve should kind of like indent a little bit as it connects into the face. And the eyes will go about halfway across the face. And that's where the hair comes in. Now, I made these bangs a little longer. We actually probably could stand to adjust those a little bit more. There we go. And yeah. Now, now even from a sketch standpoint, we're gonna pick and choose what to do here. So, first things first is I want to mash up the hair a little bit more. Now let's actually go over here and we'll see how this looks. So, we should probably adjust some of these lines. We can adjust that a little bit more. And you want to treat them like big chunks and big ribbons so that we can actually further simplify the hair. Because you don't want too many individual strands. But now, we're going to actually take this whole thing I'm going to adjust certain parts of the whole thing on the top layer. The hair should always kind of curve in a little bit as it flows down there. Like that little arc. And now we're going to actually like do another layer on top. And we're going to actually re-sketch parts of this. Because now we want to actually like clean it up. So let's lower the opacity a smidgen. And now we're going to go here. Now this is the part where you can kind of take your time. Kind of refine it. Get those curves in right. And this is even before line art sometimes. Or if you want, you can actually just do this if you really want to say fuck it to line art. Because there's a lot of artists who actually don't like line art. Even I've been liking it less lately. But you can like still do this. I recommend doing this though regardless of whether you do line art or not. This is what you call a sketch pass. When you go over it again. And artists will do this sometimes like 2 or 3 times. By that I mean like you've got your initial sketch, which is the first one. Then you've got people who do this the second one. And then some people actually go over it a 3rd time. And now this will really allow you to like adjust all those individual curves. And one thing I like to do... This Steph's never mentioned any of this in the vids I've seen. Wow, that's crazy. Because I've watched a lot of vids like this over the years, but I've watched a lot of vids. Like, I've like consumed so much over the years that for me it might even be hard to remember where I consumed some of it. So, now we've got that there, right? Now, some of that will actually probably be improved upon once we actually color, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the soft eraser and I'm going to erase a little bit in between that line. I'm going to hide this real quick. That little separation actually does wonder for your character, for the face, I'm not going to lie. It's that little separation in between the lips that makes it look like sketch to line art. Wow. No, yeah, that's something that should be covered. Because your first sketch might look like shit. But it's okay if it looks like shit. Because you can redo it. And just going over it like this again, you'll be able to have more deliberate control. Because now you have a piece that's quote-unquote finished that you can sketch over. You can retrace it. Because let's be honest, line art is just a matter of tracing. And the reason why your sketches might look better to you is because your brain is good at finding images and shapes and things that might not be clearly defined. That's why our sketches look so good, the first initial sketch, and then after that it starts to look bad to us, because we can see everything in that shape that most people wouldn't have been able to see before. But then by the time we get to the line art, well, we didn't clean up some of those extra areas, we didn't adjust shit, we didn't connect stuff, so, you know, it's why, like, you should ultimately always resketch over your pieces. I like to resketch my eyes a lot in particular. You don't have to resketch everything, but that'll come with time and confidence and all that other stuff. Also, I realized I didn't do the ears, so I probably should stick an ear somewhere in here as I go through. You didn't lose the image you had to start. Exactly. Exactly. This neck is a little bit too thick. And that's something else you can determine by zooming in. You is home, welcome home, children. Alright, so we got the neck. The neck probably should be a little bit shorter. Because I know it's not connected to anything, but a neck shouldn't really be that long. There we go, a little more delicate there. And maybe that should be moved in a smidge more. Cool. Erase that. Erase that. Alright, so we've got a working neck now. Now at this point, some more of the bang really needs to come down, but I think I kind of want to do the eyes first. Let's get that looking right. And this line should actually be a little bit thinner as it comes down. And we'll fill that in black so it looks a bit better. Because the outline is fine initially, but like once you actually like fill in the lashes, that's when you really see the anime girl pop. Hey, you won 30? Let's see. Told you, Belle. Told you. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. Your grandma won 280, damn. Your grandma really had that with her then, I guess. Your grandmother had the heart of the bingo. Ugh. Get those lashes in. And I think I kind of want to curve that a little bit more. Just gonna go for her because I was just speechless. That's funny. That's very funny. I still gotta make fun of you though for enjoying bingo. You embarrassed her. Bingo! Okay, so we just want to get the eyes colored in a little bit more first. And since this eye is on the side, this eye should be curved a little bit more. Because obviously we're dealing with a head at an angle. Looking pretty good there. Making the lines a little bit bolder too around the anime eyes really help a lot. You're gonna need to rewatch? No worries. Okay, so we'll get all that there. And like I said, it might be room for another stream like this where I teach people stuff specifically. Alright, now we want to actually get the... because the hair is going to be on a totally different layer again too, but... yeah, there we go. I actually want the eyelids a little lower. I think it looks a little bit better that way. Alright, so let's move on to the next eye. Connect that line there. Turn, please. Thank you. And we want this to sweep out a little bit more. Actually, probably could stand to do this a little bit here too. Drawing heads can be fun. Like, I like busts. I should do more art like this coming up. All right. Okay. And yeah, I might not go for line art on this piece, but I'll definitely go for the coloring since that was what we were talking about for the shading. God damn it, Omega. Hey Sarah, good to see you. Headshots are where I'm focusing on and that in Chibi. Oh, perfect then. Fantastic. Alright. Just gonna connect that there. Alright. Maybe we need to adjust that a little bit more over. Actually, that might work. Oh, yeah. True. 22 and 33 again, man. Yeah, man, it's popping up like crazy for me. And then we'll connect this line. All right. Make that a smidge bigger. Yeah, I think that works. Now let's actually get the other line and we'll thicken this shit up. Other brush, I mean. What I'll probably do for this is I'll probably color it vis-a-vis some cell shading. Because I think that'll be faster and it'll actually explain how to choose lighting. Alright. Seeing it again, how long the stream's gone? Nah, yeah, damn. Shit, man. Yeah, I almost got it here, too. Because, like, this stream will probably be about roughly, like, 3 hours by the time I'm done, which will actually be pretty decent. Have a nice little short stream. And still have covered all of the material that was requested of me. Kinda could use the rest, too, I'm not gonna lie. Alright. That's looking pretty. Now let's get the eyelid again. Beautiful. Let's maybe add a little bit more black there. Alright, that ought to do. Let me just check this. Okay. And now let's actually try and cover the fucking eyebrows. That's it. I couldn't fucking think of the word for eyebrow. I hate myself. Nice and thin. I made them a little bit too thick before. I think these things look a little bit better when they're thinner. I like more the delicate features, but that's up to you. How you want your how you'd like your face or your waifu to look. Tutorial reasonable length and gives a bit of a demonstration for people who are more hands-on most. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, brother. I figured that too. There we go. Now that's a nice little expression. Okay, so now all that's actually left is the hair, the horns, and the coloring. So, let's get to this. So, face, And I will do hair. Because we really want to clean this up nice. So what I'm actually going to do this time is I'm actually going to start from the side bangs. Because I actually did the side bangs a little bit too far over in the original sketch. Alright. Got that there. And now we're gonna connect this here. That side part of the hair. And a little bit of a sweep. I thought I heard it. Hey there, Reaper. How's it going? Good to see you. How was your stream? Just working on a little bit of an art tutorial over here. Yeah, Reaper raid indeed, brother. How are you, my friend? It has certainly been a little while. Thank you, Omegle. Starting again with them piercing eyes. I appreciate it. My eyes are something I take a lot of pride in. I have definitely spent a lot of time crafting my eyeballs. I just really like I like a character to feel sexy. Sick but chill, did some house flipper. I've been sick for the last week. My condolences, Reap. I hope you feel better soon. I'm assuming, what's house flipper exactly? I get the idea of kind of like a power wash style simulator type game. First thing I noticed, the sketchy different movies. I'm glad. I'm glad it was there. That means a lot to me, Scar. Yeah, eyes are definitely something I have spent a lot of time honing. Because for me, I gotta say, if the eyes don't look right, I think the whole piece is bad. It's like, that's it. No, the eyes are terrible. It doesn't matter how fucking amazing everything else. The eyes are bad. Scrap it. I'm desperate to get more from you. Hey, Scar, I'd be happy to at some point. I still owe Alex right now a very large commission, but I did tell him that he probably would be waiting for a while. I did offer to refund the man twice, because I told him it would be a while before I got to the piece, since it's like 4 characters, and I've been in the process of working on a lot of solo character art for my editor to post on my TikTok and stuff. So after Alex's piece is done, I'm exclusively sticking to single character pieces because it's easier to produce. I'm gonna lower the prices a little bit so I can get more commissions, and yeah, he's telling me he'll never accept a refund. Yeah. That's why I felt terrible, because I was like, I know he's gonna be waiting a while, and like I normally don't like to keep my clients waiting for a very long time, but since certain things have been getting like restructured and reformatted with my art and with my business and everything, I didn't like the idea of him just, you know, waiting till God knows when to get it, so I would have been fine with refunding him, but considering he refused, I was like, alright, thank you. Man's far too generous. Tail End of Being Sick is a game where you flip houses and, you know, Phasmos decor objects you have familiar. Oh my god. I'll tell you, games today are interesting to me sometimes, the things that people play, but as long as you had fun. As long as you had fun, homie. Like, the simulator games are definitely ones that are kind of hard for me to get into. House Flipper is the most chill, but allow me to decorate as pleased for the most part. That's fair. I guess a little bit of that creative mode. The way he worded, he would rather wait a year than accept the refund. Me too. No, I feel that. I feel that, honestly. Yeah, like, cause that's how I felt too. I was just like, bro, House Flipper. Oh my god. Fucking god. Don't diss it. Fair enough, Scar. You know what? You know what? Fair enough. I plead the fifth. Get to sell everyone's stuff and smash their walls. Oh my god. To each their own, homie. To each their own. Okay, we've almost got the bangs there. Or if you're still doing single characters, and that works for me. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's what I figured I would end up doing, because they're easier to produce. I have more fun with them. They'll be more affordable for people. It's kind of a win-win, honestly, to stick to that type of art. No, it's not right for the ear. I'll make that a separate layer to save myself some pain. Few check-ins my library games because needing to stream something while sick can be miserable if you're getting exhausted. No, I feel that. I've been exhausted myself. I'm used to pushing through things. I've been sick since I'm 4, so I feel you. When I can put in a request, I know what I'll ask for. Alright, Scar. Sounds Gucci. Alright. Turned to diamond art and framed on my wall. that actually, you flatter me so much with that, Scar. Thank you. Honestly, you flatter me so much with that. Thank you so much for that. Like I have no words for that. That is so awesome. Trying to fight against my ADHD's procrastination trap I'm used to falling into. Yeah, I've been there myself there, Reaper, but you got it. Don't say trying, say you will. Say you will, say you are, and you will do. You got this. I promise you. Just refuse to give in to the temptation and tell yourself you can do it. And then you've got it. Let's see. Alright, now let's go for the horns. Getting a cramp in my fingies. Let me crack my fingers. Okay. All right. Um, yeah. Let's see how that looks a minute. Alright, I think that's good enough there. Let's hide the sketch layer. Okay. Some stuff's a little wonky. Alright, let me hide the layer now. Let's adjust the face a little bit. Let's just the face and the ear a smidge. Okay, and now we do the hair a little bit more. Welcome back, Mountain. Somewhat winning this year, somehow managed to stay ahead of my upload schedule even after a little accident of deleting my edit folder. Oh wow, that's awful. But nicely done there, Reaper. Managed to get ahead then. Beautiful. Welcome back, Hot. Okay then. Hello to you too. Yeah, I love you too. Thank you for the hydrate there, Reaper. How's it going, Jan? Good to see you. Always a pleasure.
Ryan_Melton914 cause I'ma be here the whole stream. Yesterday I was too tired because of work and stuff.
You're fine, Ryan. Like I said, I'm happy anyone who's here whenever they're here. Okay, now we want to adjust the horns a smidge. I think we got it. Okay. Tempted to join me in arting? You should. You absolutely should, Neon. Yesterday I said I was going to go to bed and fell asleep in 3 seconds. Hey, I understand that. I've had moments like that. Believe me. I've been pretty exhausted myself lately. Alright. So. I think now the time has come to actually get to the part that we've all been looking to, is the actual shading. So, we've gotten the... I think I've sufficiently explained everything with how face and eyes and hair and different things line up and how that shit works. So I think now it's time to actually talk about the coloring process. So, first things first, we're going to create... I'm going to add another folder for coloring. Alright, so first things first, guys. I know exactly what I'm going to do for, like, the skin pigment and shit. But I want you all to start giving me suggestions for eye color, hair color, and horns. So, while I color in some of this stuff, I want you to all do that for me, okay? Because we're going to be explaining a proper shading tutorial. Dr. Pepper. For a while, one time I changed a whole bottle like those big ones, stayed up a whole night. Wow. You know, Milton, there are days where you remind me of someone that means an awful lot to me. Golden brown, brown skin, white tan eyes, cyan hair. Okay. Anyone else got any other suggestions? Sure thing, my man. They made a coconut Dr. Pepper. I mean, if you want one. Bro, I have such a cramp in my hand. My fingies are cramping. shit, Zoe. How's it going, homie? Good to see you. More Indian Mountain Dew? What's that like? I feel that happens when I'm drawing. Yeah, I feel that. How's it going, Zoe? Good to see you. How are you doing? Alright, let's paste this here. Imagine like 1/4 of how American amount I do is. Feels like it had less stuff in it, way less sugar. I mean, Mountain Dew is pretty bad. It can take the paint off a car, homie. See you all here. Hope you're all having a wonderful day and enjoying the stream. Yeah, agreed. I hope everyone is enjoying this. Alright, horns. Horns should probably go on the top. So for a golden look, it can melt the car. Yeah, it can, exactly, it can melt the car. I feel like most sodas can do that at this point, to be honest. They could do a whole lot with Coke too. No, yeah, it's true. I mean, I'll be real, like, I can't drink soda anymore, but I stopped drinking it a long time ago. It's actually more dangerous for your health than cigarettes are. I'm not gonna lie. My tea, I indulge every once in a while. I'm a tea person more, but not in caffeine ones. Yeah, I'm more of a coffee guy. Decaf sometimes actually caffeinated. I like, but I drink my coffee black. I just like coffee. DMs, alright, let's see. Very interesting, good sir. Used to be a lot into coffee. Yeah, I really love my coffee, I'm not gonna lie. A nice chai latte? That sounds pretty good. Never actually had chai, I'm not gonna lie. Ha ha ha. Alright, let's go with Sclera. Sclera should be a little bit more whitish. Thing is, I I made one at home before they even made the coconut flavor. All you need is coconut cream and put in some Dr. Pepper. That's pretty cool. So skin a little more brown we're going for, so we'll make it a little bit more tannish. I guess that's not bad. So we'll go for that tan there. Eyes cyan. I get this stuff from Walmart now, and oat milk. I add water because I can't do a lot of sugar. Same here in Yan. I can't do sugar very well either. Fucks me up. Honestly, waiting on something I put in the ring password, and I said I have to wait 2 hours before I can re-enter it. Ring password? Oh, I'm honestly waiting on some. Okay, wrong. Okay, got you. Wrong's with a W, just as a heads up. I don't know if that was a typo or not. All right. And now for the hair. So the hair is red. So we're gonna have to adjust the red a little bit. Oh, wait. This may take a minute. I didn't think ahead with the layering. Live and learn, gang. Even I make mistakes. All of these color values, too, are not final. This is just the base, obviously. And by values, I mean like individual shades. I call them by value because, you know, that's typically what you refer to it as values or hues. Actually, I should say all hues are not final. Values are 100% not final. Red's my favorite color, and I was thinking of an anime character. I got you. What character were you thinking of? Please don't say Jujutsu Kaisen, I beg you. Jujutsu Kaisen was the reason why you were thinking of it? Good God. No, I'm not a fan of JJK. Oh, it's not from JJK? Beautiful. But no, yeah, Neon, I am not a fan of JJK at all. It's overrated battle show. Oh, thank you. Oh, I love you. I'm so sick of hearing people telling me that they love Jujutsu Kaisen. No offense to my friends who like it or my viewers who like it, but God, I hate it so much. You see? Yeah, because like I know that I talk to so many people that love Battle Shonen and they love Jujutsu Kaisen too, and I'm like, okay, but why? I can't. It's like watching now. Yes, yes. Oh my God. Oh, thank you for validating me. Naruto, I like some characters, but I can't get into it. I watched the first series. Shippuden was too much. I found it crap. Watched like 3 episodes, really couldn't get into it. Thank you, Scar. My friend has been talking about High School DxD, and the one character High School DxD has right here. Oh, yeah, Rhea Scremery. Yeah. I've yet to watch that show. That show is kind of like horny slop, but I'll admit I still wanted to watch it once just to say I did. That, and usually before I draw a character, I usually like to actually see what anime they're from so I can get their personality down. I wanted Dragon Ball. Shippuden was when I stopped. Amen. Amen. I wanted Dragon Ball, admit, and I did really enjoy that. Was the only one I didn't really know which one was. Same here, man. Same here, Scar. Yeah, I got you, Milton. Yeah, Gremory is hot. Bleach is pretty decent, but I've never watched it. I don't know how I would. I don't know if I would actually ever be bothered. I wish I could get into Bleach. Yeah, exactly. It's an ecchi anime with action. It's a mindless anime, but it can be a fun little anime, I guess. Watch Not Wanted. Oh, okay, because I thought I saw Wanted. Mostly the tits. Well, yeah, exactly. Art and characters are cool. Yeah, I feel that. Like, I'm a big slice of life guy. I'm a very romantic man. I like my romance stuff. Yes, Bleach is overrated, but I feel like most of the genre of Battle Shonen is overrated, not gonna lie. I just don't like most of it. Alright. We're almost there. We're almost done with the flat color. Grabbing Dragon. Honestly, I feel like your content is underrated. I feel like you should be way more popular. To be honest, Milton, I appreciate that, honestly. And that's what I'm working on. That is exactly what we're working on. I have an editor and manager. I have the website. I mean, and yeah, like I've said, anybody else feels that I'm underrated or that I deserve more credit, please, please, for the love of everything holy, push me out to other people. Pimp me out. Push me like I'm a drug. Like I will very much appreciate you. Yeah, I'm still happy there are people that share takes on JJK. Same here, Nyan. Thank you. To play right, yeah. I just really like my romance stuff. I'm just an emotional man. I like my pretty girls. What can I say? I always say, make me think, make me feel, hurt my emotions in some way, and you're doing good storytelling, but I don't get that same push that I do from a lot of action-based stuff. Hell, I'm the type of guy that'll have fucking chats with an AI sex bot, and I'll be, like, talking to her about her feelings. No cap. Clinad, I have to watch it still. I would like to. I like that it has like the after story and other alternates for people and stuff. You know, of the other girls he could wind up with. I like the emotional turmoil of it. Yeah, like it's one that I will definitely sing high praise of. I just haven't watched it. I feel like if you're really popular, you won't respond. No, that's not true. The thing is that you always will talk to people in your chat because that's what a good person does, you know, a good streamer would do. But, like, yeah, I mean, obviously there are limitations to how much a person can actually get to all people, because it's not that you don't want to talk to everyone, it's just finding the time to do all that plus creating the work. But this is my job, and I intend to make a full success out of it. So it's like one way or another, it would, you know, it will eventually reach that point. I will eventually reach the point where I am that fucking big, because that is exactly what I'm working on. Honestly, all I really need is the viewership. Just a little more viewership, and I actually could be that. Because that's kind of been the whole point of doing this. Like, this is definitely not for fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy what I do, but this is not just for fun. This is about the big leagues. Exactly, man. Exactly. I think you should try Chobits. I think you might like it. Yeah, I think it was on my list. I'm very much a big waifu anime kind of guy. One of my favorites is Quintessential Quintuplets. I liked it because it was a harem that actually, like, chose a girl instead of just being this stupid fucking thing of like, oh, I guess he'll marry all of them. Okay, we're almost there. Let's get to the flats so we can actually get to the important part, the shading. This is gonna be kind of rough, but it doesn't really matter given what the purposes are. This is basically like a doodle to me. All right. You never heard of quintessential quintuplets? Well, I've watched a lot of newer anime, so. To add to you trying to get big, you got this stuff for stuff's really good. Thank you, Nyan. I appreciate it. Yeah, actually, too. If anyone who's not, please check out my YouTube channel and subscribe if anyone hasn't. There is a new video that got uploaded just recently that's going to be leaning into us doing more life coach oriented stuff. I will actually provide the link to people. I've meant to push it in the server. I don't think I actually did push it in my public server yet, but I need to do that as well. So let me just grab this here. If anyone's interested, it's where I give advice for like Reddit-based stuff. Oh, what? That's not what I wanted to click on. Please go away. Close, thank you. There we go. Basically, I'm doing like the Reddit advice thing and just helping people out with certain things. And I have a website up that's advertised at the end of the video for people for life coach stuff. So if you ever want some help or advice, that's there. Oh, Apothecary Diaries, yes, I actually would like to watch it too. A lot of people have really sung its praises and it did look interesting to me. So yes, I do agree with you. I actually would like to check that out as well. Alright, now let me look at, let me check something here a minute. Alright. So now we're going to actually color this in, but before we color it in, we're actually going to go dissect the last part of the tutorial that would need to be talked about here. Newest thing I want, oh yeah, I read that, my bad. So let's see, alright, so basic early ideas on shading, how to decide where the shadow should be. Okay, so if we're talking about actually properly shading something and deciding where the shadow should go, first things first that we really have to talk about is form shadow and cast shadow. So, in order to determine where those things go, you need to determine your light source. Now, there are obviously certain areas that are automatically excluded when it comes to the areas of shadowing and light sourcing. And honestly, what we could do, I can grayscale this to give it a better framing as well. But first things first, we'll start with the hair. So like, if I like say go here, and let's get a darker color. Let's go into the purple little, because we want a strong contrast. So for your shadows, you always want to go as dark and contrasting as possible. And we can just use, let's just pretend that the light source for this one is coming from more the top, let's say. So, thank you, Hot. So let's pretend that like the light source is coming from, say, about here. So, sun, woo, wah, bah, 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 la, la, la. So, we got the sun there. That's the light source there, or the lighting, or whatever the hell type of lighting we got here. So, start with the easy stuff for the shadows. You're always going to have more shadow underneath the initial hair. So, places like this, which are having shadow cast on them, you've got the ear casting shadow, you've got these other sub parts down below, certain folds areas. There's going to be like a lot of these little areas that like, you know, kind of like curve. That will indicate that that's curved by adding a shadow to that. The further away you get from this light source, the more you're going to have more shadow. So, we're going to put shadows in some easy, obvious places, like between like bigger gaps of the hair. And we'll adjust these, you know, the values after, because like some of this is a little bit strong, but this will give the idea, because some of this is like a little really like way too strong for what you'd expect. So now like the ear would obviously cast some shadow. Follow along some of the folds of the hair. Could have a little bit there because that part's casting shadow. The horn would obviously cast some shadow. This deeper part in the crown would definitely have some shadow because it's going to indent in a little bit into the head. Now, we can definitely add a little bit more shadow here along the edges, like the bottom tips, to create the form a little bit of the hair. Hey, Loon. Good morning. Good to see you. So we're going to add some of this stuff here. Alright. And this is just for like some of the basic stuff to like give us a little bit more form. Now, we might add a little bit more shadow over on this side, considering that the sun is coming more from the top right. So, we're going to add some of that in some other places over here. Do this a little bit here. And definitely add it in this spot because that's a little more shadow there. So we want to leave some of those areas. Now we've got the shadowing coming up. This whole side we can actually add a lot more shadow to. I'm kind of like just going a little crazy with some spots. The ribbon area is there, ribbon area there. Could actually stand and make this part a little bit more shadow too. And we're kind of just like picking and choosing spots here randomly now that we'll definitely have a little bit less light going on. This part, honestly, probably shouldn't be shadowed because there's a little bit more light in that spot. But the further down we go, we can start adding a little bit more here. Do this. Get some more of those fold areas. Then we'll zoom out a little bit more. Honestly, we can probably get a little stronger with the shadowing. And that's got a little fold there. Yep. Basically, just define your light source, and it will make this a lot easier. Because if you know where the light is coming from, because you chose the light source, it's a lot easier to decide where shadows should go and where they should be placed. And now granted, this is really messy looking. Like this is sloppy as fuck. But it definitely will give you the idea of where everything should go. So now, I really want to adjust the purple because it's way too fucking strong. That looks a little bit better. Where would I even watch High School DxD? There are a plethora of very, very legal websites that you can find on the high seas. I wouldn't know though. Nudge. that we adjusted some of the colors. Alright, so now from here, we can add a little extra highlight layer so we can get a little stronger with this. Let's add a little, let's just go with yellow. Add a little bit of that highlight. And then you want to kind of like follow the flow of the hair a little bit. Now we're going to make this yellow for now, but we are definitely 100% going to change this. Because it's kind of looking like a Crayola box right now. A little bit of that extra ambient occlusion in places. A little more there. Alright, so maybe a little bit more here. Because this is just for highlighting that extra edge lighting. Now, yes, they're 100% legal. Absolutely. So now, honestly, that works a bit better. Yeah, I think we'll go with that for now. And now we're gonna go for the skin. So for the skin, this is gonna be pretty easy overall. At least if you're doing like cell shaded look. So first you want to have some of this little occlusions here. Go, just follow along with the hair. The neck, automatically just fucking blot that whole thing out. Boom. And now like we're gonna do the same thing with the ear here. Boom. Just fill that bad boy in. I'm just gonna do this here. Just fill all that shit in there on the edges. Little bits of the folds here, because the hair is gonna like drop the shadow. It's not gonna line up perfectly with it. You want the hair to like kind of like show that like it's casting a shadow, rather than like just having the shadow sit on top. Add a little bit of that extra shadow in the corner of the eyes, because like you got where the lids are technically are. Alright. Also, it occurs to me that I didn't color in the eyelids. I mean the eyebrows, so we're gonna fix that. Yeah, that looks better. Alright, boom. Let's go back to the skin. The skin's gonna need some adjustment as well. The skin probably should be a bit lighter, honestly, because the contrast doesn't work too well with this. She almost looks a little bit sickly. I know we wanted to make her tan, but she doesn't quite look tan here. Alright, now let's try adjusting the saturation of this a little bit. Alright, now let's adjust that again. We're really trying to adjust the value of the skin. Oh, purple skin actually looks kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. But, no, we don't want that. Make it a touch darker. Yeah, we'll make that darker, and then we'll actually make this value darker as well. We'll make her base skin tone a little bit lighter. Trying to get a little bit of a Nagatoro tan, and that's not coming out. You know what? We're going to cheat, like all good artists do. Hang on. We're going to pluck a color. And this is something I highly encourage any of you to do. If you cannot find the color you want, it is okay to pluck it. That's what the eyedropper tool is for. So, let me find... Yeah, you know what? Perfect. Yoink. We're gonna grab that. Because I'm not getting the color right. So we're gonna go whoosh. And then we're going to grab the darker color. And we're going to go whoosh again. I did that wrong, didn't I? Oh, I know what I did wrong, yeah. I know what I did wrong. Much better. Much better. So when you can't get a color right, just fucking nick it. Just fucking nick it. And we're actually gonna lower this down a little bit more, get a little bit more of that red in there. Because we want a little bit of that blush. Where's that soft brush? No, that's the wrong brush tool. There we go. This is so gonna go well for a video and tutorial. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot in here. That's for sure for a tutorial, homie. And now if you want, you can actually pluck the same skin tone and add like that little dimple look. Or you can actually make it white if you really want. But we're gonna adjust the value of the blush a little. Gonna make it a little lighter, increase the saturation a touch so that way it pops more. And now we're gonna get to one of my favorite parts, is the eyes. So first things first. We might adjust the shadow of the sclera. But right now I just want to like get something in there. Also, you want to kind of like try, because like you're basically doing the cast shadow of the eyelid. So you kind of want to just, you know, make sure that it's a strong enough contrast. and that'll really take care of your sclera for you. You can adjust this a bit more though, like we can make it a little bit lighter so it's not so overbearing, because obviously the eyelid will create a cast shadow, but it's not necessarily super strong. So just play with the the brightness of it. And now comes the part where I can like do beautiful jizz-tastic things with the eyes. I'm going to first pick a different color value. And the first thing you want to do is kind of create a little bit of an arc, so that it kind of like lines up over the pupil area. But here's the thing. Do not line up your sclera shadow exactly as you've lined this up as your iris shadow. It will look awkward and it won't make sense for how the actual lighting goes on the planes. So don't do that. But yeah, so that's that there. Now we want to add a little bit of a highlight color. So you have a few options. Jizz-tastic things, yes I did. And now for this part, I'm a big fan of Studio Trigger. Bad boy. That's only turning me on. But yeah, so now we add for the iris, not the iris, but the shine part here on the iris. I'm very partial to Studio Trigger, so I kind of color it similarly to how Darling in the Franxx did. I'm a very big fan of Darling in the Franxx art style. But yeah, now I made that yellow, but we don't have to keep it yellow. So let's just adjust the values and see what we can get. Because like you can play around with this shit and like, you know, use different color values. Like I kind of like the pinkish purple, but it should be a lot brighter given that this is the highlight of the eye. You're telling me the illegal was yeah, I will DM you a name. I'd recommend that one. Alright, now now we've got this done, right? But we're not done yet. Because in this case, we could go ahead. If you want to, you can choose to leave it without the makeup, or you can add a little bit on the lips. So let's just go here. Let's go back to the soft brush. I'm going to attempt to pluck this color. I might need to make it a little bit more red again. And now we can go right here. This is just with a little bit of a soft brush, like an airbrush. And now we can do the exact same thing. Pluck the skin tone. And voila! Of course, if you really want, you can make that a little brighter so that the lips pop a little bit more. And we can just go ahead and do this for the shine. Just increase that a little bit. And that way it draws more attention to those little supple anime lips. And to add a bit more pop to the eyes, I typically like to do this above everything. You want a little bit of that shine. So this is a part where I'll probably take this again, and I'm going to go add those little dots there. And you can also do this here too, in a couple of other little spots if you really want to like go a little more with it. And now those little dots for the shine make so much more difference in terms of making the eyes pop. Just keep it consistent with where you place them and be mindful of your light source. What do you mean, how did I type that so fast? It was one word. Back in the day, I used to be able to type 200 words a minute. Can't do that anymore. Now it's like 60. Maybe, actually, no, maybe like 70 something. Me and my friends did a game one night to see how that went. It was fun. Alright, now for the horns. The horns will definitely need some adjustments in terms of their coloring, but yeah. Now, you want to focus on form rather than detail. At least if you're doing cell shading. Because there's just certain things that won't be as visible. So like you'll notice like certain parts just get kind of completely and totally covered. But bear in mind like how the form works. And maybe you can even like erase a little along the edges to get a little bit of that extra shine. Because there's always that little bit of that, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I think it's like backlighting. Oh, I wish I could remember the term. I think it's ambient occlusion. I think it's ambient occlusion. And even doing something like that, how you like shape your shadows can really add a lot of texture. Ambient occlusion, thank you, Nyan. When you go to that website, also have Opera GX and an ad blocker. Now, something else we can also add to. We can actually adjust the eyelids just a touch. If you want to really make this pop some more. Add a little bit of stuff to the lashes, I mean, not the lids. It helps to actually pick a color that's like reflective. Because even though things don't seem like it, everything reflects. And now boom. Well, we're almost done. Because I actually don't quite like all the colors on the horns. I'll darken that. I'll make this a little bit brighter. Okay. Maybe we could add a little bit of a highlight in some spots. That's really weird. It shouldn't do that. I have no idea why it's telling you that. Because it 1000% should not tell you that. Alright, now we can adjust that lighting a little bit more. Okay. Now, we are nearly done. The last thing that we're going to do. We're going to add what I like to call correction layers. So you'd go up to layer, a new correction layer, and I'm going to add a gradient map. Now this is going to show us what it looks like in black and white. Now, it looks fine in color. But a lot of these colors look a little bit too similar. So what I like to do is I like to add another correction layer called tone curve. So now we can lock this. I'm going to go into tone curve and I'm going to adjust the curves. I kind of like to go for a little bit of an S on the shape of the tone curve. And I'll just adjust things like that accordingly. Now this is one way to do it. Now I've made it a little lighter. Also, real quick, I'm going to clip this to it because I don't want it to affect the whole background. But now look, this is before, after. Before, after. Now, we're not completely done yet. Yeah, you've probably got ads there, man. Get it? I don't know if you have an ad blocker, but you should. Just close out of it then and get an ad blocker. Because there's tons of websites like that. But you gotta have the ads blocked. Alright, so now if we do this, right? We can see some stuff has changed in contrast, but some stuff still looks a little bit the same. Now, I don't know if I actually like the curves or not on it. So I'm probably going to actually just manually adjust some of the values. What do you mean, how do you download an ad blocker? Bro, Google it. Get an extension. Hey Jason, how's it going? Alright, let me, we're gonna actually adjust this value a little bit more. Make that a little bit darker. And I think we should change the hue a bit. No, that's not right. Alright, now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna adjust the base of the hair again. And I think we're gonna make it a little lighter. Alright, so now let's actually try looking at this through the gradient again. Now there's a little bit more noticeable adjustments in the values. But now if we do the tone curve again, it looks softer, but there's a little bit less contrast. Like the skin looks softer, but there's less contrast on the hair. So honestly, what we could do is we could actually just drag this down to the skin. Let's go down here and put that there. Oh. Yeah, I agree with Omega. Those are good ad blockers. Just as existing as usual. Got you, man. Yeah, I have no idea. That makes no sense at all, Melton. Try Googling it. Like, literally just Google it. Just Google the website, because you probably just went to the wrong website from the looks of it. Or it sent you to the wrong place. We use a browser than Google Chrome like Brave Robber GX. One step at a time, homie. Alright, so now let's go here. And that looks pretty good in black and white. So now we've got this here. So now we're going to add one more thing for correction layers. We're going to add hue saturation. Actually, we could just do color balance. Color balance would be good. So for shadows, let's add blue. And for halftone, add a little bit more blue. That looks nice. Now for highlights, let's look more into red. Actually, yellow more into red. And what does yellow do? little too much. Okay, now let's do this. So we got this here. I had the color balance. Things are definitely a little darker in black and white. But in the color, it definitely pops more. Yeah, coloring things in black and white too is also another really good way to actually determine your light sourcing. So I actually recommend it. I have painted things in black and white. I can actually show an example of that in a minute. Stop that, that's not healthy. Take a salt out. But yeah, so now we can go ahead and we can hide the sun. And now, honestly, that's something you've studied, that's good. Black and white is very useful. So, honestly, I'd say, Scar, considering this was your original question, is there anything else that I could provide here that would be helpful for you to understand, you know, the shadows and the light sourcing and different things like that I haven't thought of? Is there any other area that I might have left out or that would be helpful? Because I think I've covered everything, but if there's something I've missed, feel free to tell me, or anyone else here also who is an artist, please provide the input if need be. But I think that's about everything I can say for this, because we did the eyes, we did the face, we did the hair, and then we did the coloring. So I covered 2 birds with 1 stone. I knew I was definitely going to do this. But yeah, I have a cramp in my hand. From my side, I feel you've covered everything. It's been clear to understand. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Alright then. If that's the case, then I'm not gonna lie, I might actually export the bust doodle of this just to post somewhere. And we're just gonna do that. Boom. Alright. And we can close that reference there. But yeah. This was fun. It's been a while since I've actually done this. From my side, oh yeah, I already read that. Alright then. Well, almost 4 hours. I think this pretty much concludes the tutorial. So, I think it's time we start wrapping up because my hand is cramping. So let me go ahead and sorry, Milton, my hand is killing me. All right, thank you very much, Nyan. There was a lot more stuff at the beginning too, but this one covered a fair bit of stuff, you know, near the end here. So I think it's time that we start to switch on over and close things up. So, all right, my hand is cramping. This is another sub goal crossed off the list. So if there are any questions anybody has, like I said, this VOD will be up. I will post it up on YouTube probably sometime between tonight and tomorrow. YouTube, if you guys are watching over on that side, I hope you guys give a subscription. If you guys haven't already, please follow my YouTube. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to actually go ahead and end the stream over on YouTube. Ouch! On YouTube side of things. Because, you know, I'm going to see about who I can send you guys on off to for a raid. So YouTube, thank you guys so much for stopping in. I hope you guys enjoy the tutorial. This will obviously be up on your side of things very shortly. So we'll say bye-bye to YouTube gang. You all take it easy there. Bye-bye.